Hey, it's Harold S. Reed Jr. and welcome to another episode of the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day. Hey, Harold S. Reed Jr. here, your motivational coach. If you don't know what motive action means, motive plus action equals results, and results equal success. And welcome back to another episode of the Ice Talks. Today, I want to talk to you about struggle. Struggle takes on many forms, and a lot of times, people make the mistake of embracing their struggle to the extent that their struggle becomes the definition of their lives. Now, from a historical perspective, being a black man, we are as a people defined by our struggle. And I have a problem with that because I feel that it would be much better for us in our progression as a people if we were not so much defined by our struggle as we were defined by how we overcame our struggle. But the problem with that is we are still struggling. So and we're going to struggle for quite some time, but this isn't what I want to get into. Because, for one, I want my messages to be able to have meaning for everyone, not just my brothers and sisters of the diaspora. So let me say this. In our lives, we will always struggle. All right. Even people who appear to have it all worked out, even people who appear to have absolutely no money problems. Trust me when I tell you, everybody, if you have money problems. If you don't have money, that in and of itself is a money problem. So that being said, everyone has money problems, therein which is one form of struggle. If you're involved in a relationship, be it monogamous or casual, there are struggles that go along with being in relationships. People are individual characters. There are as many individual characters as there are snowflakes that fall from the sky. And with each individual character, with each individual snowflake, each one comes with its own individual struggle. We must learn how to overcome our struggles. We must learn how to embrace our struggle for what it is. And by doing that, we don't run away from it. When I say embrace, I don't mean swim in. I don't mean drown in. But I mean accept it for what it is. The same way I was talking about limitations a couple of days ago. All right? Struggles come in order for us to get stronger. See, it was Frederick Douglass who said, without struggle, there is no progress. So and in my personal experience, everything that I've ever accomplished, everything that I've ever achieved had to come with some form of struggle, had to come with some form of sacrifice. So the challenge then becomes, as I was talking to earlier, are you defined by your struggle or are you defined by what you're doing to overcome that struggle? You see, the way I see it, if you define yourself by your struggle, then the struggle is what makes you you. So if the struggle is what makes you you, then how could you ever free yourself from the struggle? Because if you free yourself from the struggle and it's the struggle that defines who you are, without the struggle, who are you? Now, I have yet to come across a struggle that I have enjoyed. I am in the process of preparing for my black belt test in a few weeks. And while I love the martial arts with a passion, while I love teaching my kids and love being a positive role model for these kids and some of the adults too, this whole testing progress is a struggle, and it is a struggle of which I do not like. I do not care for. You know, I love getting on that mat, and I love throwing punches and kicks. I love performing katas. I love all of that. But when it comes down to, all right, now we got to bang out some push-ups. I hate that. That's a struggle. When it comes down to, okay, now we got to do combos. We got to, and we're drilling, not for technique, not for fun, but we're drilling for the physical fitness part of it, because the physical fitness is a major part of the martial arts. If you're not physically fit, you can't perform. So therein which lies the struggle. I am not defined by that struggle. I am defined by what happens as a result of going through that struggle. It is because I have to do those push-ups and those sit-ups and those combinations and those drills over and over again till my body gets to the point where it can't go no more, that I have to push myself to go that much further. In last night's class at the dojo, my instructor was teaching us, you know, how every move that we make, every drill that we go through, we have to tell ourselves that's the last one. Whether or not it's the last one is irrelevant. But if we believe that that's the last one and we give it everything that we have, if the next one turns out to be the last one because the last one wasn't the last one, then we give the next one the best that we have to give. And if you give each and every one, each and every drill, each and every exercise, you give it the best that you have to give. Every time you step up to the plate, you give the best that you have to give. If they tell you it's the last one and it's not the last one, and you about 5, 6, 7 last ones in, well, there's a struggle. You are in a struggle to get to the ultimate last one. You are in the struggle to find the last one. Now, I use the martial arts as a metaphor, but hell, how many of you have bills? How many of us have bills that we got to pay? How many of us are still paying off student loans? Hell, I paid off my student loans from when I didn't graduate, and then turned around 25 years later, went back to school, knocked it out in a year, and guess what? I'm back to paying student loans again. All right? But that's a struggle. And I already know that every month that bill is not going to be the last one, but it's getting me closer to the last one. The same with my mortgage. The cell phone bill, that's just going to, for as long as I have a cell phone, I'm going to have a cell phone bill. So are you. Car note. All right? Each bill you pay on that car note, that takes you one step closer to getting to that last one. Unless you leasing and then you just paying a perpetual car note. But my point is this. We are not defined by our struggle. If you define yourself by your struggle, let me be so bold to say you are making a mistake in, with, and for your life. Do not allow yourself to be defined by your struggle. Allow yourself, or demand of yourself and the people around you, that you be defined by how you go about overcoming your struggle. Be defined by how you go about going through your obstacles, going through your struggle. See, I have every intention within the next couple of months, well, by the end of next month, starting June, wearing a black belt for the rest of my life. That's something that no one can ever take away from me. The same as when I went back to school and got my college degree. That's something no one can never take from me. As a matter of fact, when I went back to college, that was when it counted the most. When I went back to college is when it counted the most, because I wasn't going to college, back to college to get a good job. I was already retired. I wasn't going back to college, because that's what was expected of me. It'd been over 2 decades. People were cool, for the most part, with me not having gone back to college. There were some people who wanted me to go back to college so I can go after a particular position in the organization that I belong to. But it wasn't about that. It was not about that. Going back, when I went back to college, it was for me. It was because I had been speaking to young men of color, young black and brown men who were in high school, and I was telling them about the value of a college education. And on my way home, I've told this story before, on my way home, I felt like a hypocrite. I felt like a hypocrite because I was telling these boys to do something that I had not yet done myself. I was explaining the value of something to these boys that I did not have myself. And I couldn't go further. I couldn't go a step further in my life without righting that particular wrong or correcting that particular course. So that's what put me back in school. And you know what? As hard as some of those classes were, as long as the assignments were, that too was a struggle. But I was not defined. I did not define myself by that struggle. I defined myself by having achieved the goal of getting that college degree. So understand, we're going to go through things in our lives. We're going to go through struggles. We're going to go through hard times. All right. And the people who sit up there and act like hard times aren't supposed to happen are lying to themselves. And if you listen to them, they're lying to you. And if you listen to them, you're allowing them to lie to you. Kind of like we are with politicians. We want politicians to tell us what we want to hear, but we know that that's not the truth. Is what it is. We struggling in America with this president right now, but we will not be defined by our struggle. We will be defined by how we overcome this struggle, by hopefully getting rid of this dude. But that's a whole different category that I'm not even going to really get into. What I want you to understand, and I always want you to understand, what I want you to understand is that no matter what you go through in your life, no matter what struggles you may have, it's not the struggle that defines you. It's not the racism. It's not the poverty. It's not the lack of job opportunity. It's not the inability to find a suitable mate. It's not any of these things. It's how you get up every morning and go out and hit the pavement and look for a job, or you go to the library, get on the computer and build your resume up and put your resume out there and try to find work. It's how you get up and go to every day to a job that you may hate, but you do your best there so you can take that paycheck home and feed your family. It's how you go about going through that job that you hate and sacrificing 2-3 hours of sleep at night every night so you can stay up a little later and wake up a little earlier while you're working on the idea, the concept that you have to build your dream, to build your business, to make your own thing your reality so you can do what you love in your life. That is what the struggle is for. It's dealing with your badass kids while they grow up and they go through the same things that you went through as a teenager, as a young adult. Understanding that you went through those things so maybe you could be a little bit more empathetic, and at the same time understand that you have a responsibility to raise those babies into responsible human beings, into responsible adults. So you have to conquer that as well. That is the struggle. And when your children grow up and they're married and they're successful, that is when you can define your struggle by how you overcame it. So please, please, please understand. Please understand that we are designed to go through struggles because steel sharpens steel. Never in my life, and I've seen quite a few swords in my day, never in my life have I seen a sword sharpened by a cotton ball. Steel sharpens steel, and the finest of steel has to go through the hottest of fire. So our struggle, it's not the fire that defines us. It's not the steel that scrapes against the steel of our soul that defines us. It's the finished product. It's how we overcame. It's how we adapted and how we achieved our goals that define us. I'm wrapping up now, so thank you for listening to the ICE Talks, where we implement change every day. I'll talk to you soon.